They told you the flood was just a myth, a symbolic tale of sin and redemption, a bedtime story for civilizations that didn't know science. But what if Noah's flood wasn't just real?
What if it broke the earth itself?
Before the flood, ancient records suggest the earth was not tilted at 23.5 degrees. It stood more upright, possibly tilted at 37 degrees or more, a change that would have restructured the very rhythm of time. That tilt, now a constant 23.5 degrees, defines our years, our seasons, our calendars. But here's the hidden secret. Many ancient civilizations recorded a sudden shift in time itself, a reset in the heavens, a break in the flow. What force could be so great that it bent the earth on its axis? Start here. Over 200 flood myths have been documented across the world, from the Epic of Gilgamesh in Mesopotamia, to Deucalion's flood in Greece, to the Manu story in India, to the Choctaw flood tale in North America. Different named, different settings, same core event, a great deluge, the destruction of a previous world, and the survival of a chosen few. Even the Qur'an echoes it clearly. Water gushed not just from the sky, but from the earth itself. Fajarnal Arda Uyunan. We caused the earth to burst with springs. This wasn't rain. It was planetary upheaval. Now ask yourself, what kind of event floods the planet from both above and below? Enter the forgotten theories. Massive cometary impact. A close brush with a rogue planetary body, or a gamma-ray burst destabilizing Earth's magnetic core. Some scientists argue that around 10,800 BC, the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis suggests a comet fragment hit the Earth, causing a global firestorm, followed by glacial melting and then sudden catastrophic flooding. And what if that wasn't just a natural disaster, but a cosmic reset? A targeted correction of a planet out of alignment? Many indigenous traditions claim the Earth wobbled after the flood, and that this wobble was the beginning of counted time. Before that, there was eternity, a time without years, a world where humans lived for centuries. Just look at the patriarchs in Genesis. Adam, 930 years, Seth, 912, Methuselah, 969. Then came the flood, and suddenly the numbers collapse. Abraham lives to 175, Moses to 120, and by the time of Jesus, lifespans average less than 80. Coincidence or consequence? When the axis shifted, so did the sky constellations realigned. Calendars were rewritten. What had once been a 13-moon lunar calendar became a fragmented solar system, and the Gregorian calendar you use today? It's not the original. It's not even ancient. It was imposed to cover the memory of a more cosmic timekeeping system. Because when you control time, you control consciousness, and that's the real story behind the flood. Not just destruction, but reprogramming of Earth, of the human mind, and of the soul's journey through this world. When the waters receded, and the Earth stopped shaking, only a few remained. Not just Noah, not just his sons, but entire pockets of survivors, scattered across mountain ranges and hidden valleys. These weren't random families, they were chosen to carry memory, to preserve the before time, and to begin the great task of encoding truth, where it could never again be erased in one sweep. So they carved it into rock, aligned it with stars, wove it into myths, and buried it beneath layers of ritual and architecture. Look closely at the ancient cities built just after the flood. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. A site older than any pyramid, buried intentionally around 9,600 BCites. T-shaped monoliths are covered in animals, celestial symbols, and what appears to be a record of a cosmic impact: the fox, the vulture, the ball and disc. These aren't just decorations. They are warnings, preserved in stone. In Iran, the Jiroft civilization rose near the Halil River, with advanced metallurgy, and inscriptions still undeciphered today. They built with knowledge, not from trial and error, but from remembrance. In the Americas, the Olmec heads look nothing like the people around them. Their megalithic constructions face cardinal points, mark solstices and eclipses. and eco-knowledge thought to be lost. The survivors knew. They couldn't stop another flood, but they could leave clues for the ones who would come after, and they did. Through ley lines, through sacred geometry, through pyramidal harmonics, they encoded the blueprint of a lost world, but time passed and the memory faded, until all that was left were myths. Atlantis, Lemuria, Shaddad, had entire civilizations that rose in impossible ways, then vanished without a trace, not erased by war or famine, but by water and a force that tilted the heavens. And here's what's most forbidden, that these floods may not have been accidents, because many ancient texts, from the Book of Enoch to the Babylonian Enuma Elish, speak of a war in the heavens, a conflict between beings who decided that humanity had gone too far, too much knowledge, too much freedom, too much awakening. And so the reset button was hit. But here's the twist. Even those who caused the flood couldn't wipe everything clean. Fragments of that ancient fire remain, in temples, in calendars, in sacred texts, and perhaps in you. When the earth tilted, everything changed. But not just physically, not just seasons and shadows, time itself. Cracked. Before the tilt, there was harmony, a 360-day year, aligned with the golden ratio, aligned with the orbits of Venus and the moon, aligned with you, the human body. With its 360 joints, its 360-degree energy flow, its connection to the cosmos was built for that rhythm. But after the flood, something broke. The earth began to wobble. The equinox drifted. The sun stopped rising in the same place, and to adapt, humanity bent time to fit a broken reality. Thus came the creation of artificial calendars. First, the Sumerians, then the Babylonians, then the Romans, and finally the Vatican-imposed Gregorian system. 5 to 5. Days are 12 months. An awkward structure filled with corrections, leap years, skipped days, inserted months. A patchwork trying to mask a cosmic wound, but the deeper impact was on you. Not your watch, your soul. Lifespans began to collapse. Not just because of flood trauma, but because the new frequencies, the misaligned solar rhythms, distorted cellular regeneration. The ancients lived 900 years, not as metaphor, but as biology in harmony with divine cycles. Now you age faster. Think slower, forget easier, because time is no longer natural, and it's not just numbers. It's belief. The shift turned eternity into history, myth into metaphor, prophets into distant characters. You stopped believing the flood was real. You stopped asking why all calendars were reset. You forgot the moment when Earth bent and consciousness shrank. But here's the hidden message, buried in Zoroastrian scrolls, Sumerian tablets, and Quranic verses. This wasn't just a flood. It was a fall, descent from divine perception into material illusion, and those who survived? They tried to tell us through sacred rituals like Nowruz, through festivals that honor the equinox, through symbols of rebirth on the 13th day, but we traded it for fiscal years, for daylight, saving time, for digital clocks that blink without meaning. And yet, your body remembers, your spirit senses it, that something is off, that time isn't what they told you. So now you know that the flood wasn't just water. It was a reset of Earth, of memory, of time itself. And until you realign with that ancient rhythm, you'll always feel like something is missing. But now you remember, and that memory is the beginning of your return. You were never meant to live like this, trapped in artificial time, measured by broken clocks, cut off from the original rhythm of sky and soul. The ancients left signs not for nostalgia, but for recalibration. Why do solstices still matter in rituals across all faiths? Why do equinoxes awaken something in the body you can't explain? Because deep inside, you're still synced to the world before the flood, before the axis fell, before the breath of eternity was interrupted. And here's the ultimate secret. The flood wasn't the end, it was the veil. A curtain pulled across the memory of a higher human. A being who knew the language of stars, who spoke in frequencies, who could live in harmony with Earth's core vibrations. That version of you still exists, still echoes in your dreams, in déjà vu, in your longing for a different world. You've never seen, but somehow still remember. And that's not fiction, it's recalled genetic, spiritual, cosmic Noah carried on. That ark wasn't just animals. It was a blueprint of sacred knowledge, of human potential, of the soul's real architecture. And though empires buried it, floods drowned it, and rulers rewrote the timeline, it lives on in fragments, waiting to be decoded, not by priests, not by scientists, by you. Because awakening isn't about believing a myth, it's about remembering a truth so ancient, it no longer needs proof, only presence. So when you feel the seasons shift, when your heart stirs at sacred times, when you reject the tyranny of false time, that's not rebellion. That's realignment. You are not a product of history. You are a survivor of the flood, a descendant of those who remembered, a soul built for the rhythm before time, and now it begins again.